Another edition of Focus on Liberia. This is our civic education with Dr. Joseph Gbaba. In today's edition, we're going to be touching some key topics. This include security, the respect for constituted authorities. By that we mean when police, for example, arrive during disorderly conduct, what do you do? We're going to also be talking about law enforcement, appeal or the right to appeal. We'll be discussing party or partisan, party platform or party document and party manifesto. But before we begin, we're going to do a recap of last week when we discussed civic education. We talk about the Constitution, the rule of law, franchise, the right to vote, platform, concede or concession, protest and contest, also riots or the use of force. Again, welcome to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. We want to welcome Dr. Joseph Toma Galole Gbaba. He's partnering with us here from Deck Country Artists, Inc. And together with Focus on Liberia, we are doing this civic education series in preparation for December elections. Dr. Gbaba, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are glad to have you here, yet another edition of our civic education series. The purpose, again, anytime we have a major event taking place in Liberia, is better to prepare our citizens. We are glad to report that this is being carried also in Wieswa. That is a radio station in Wieswa, Kakata area there. And we are now carrying this broadcast live in 9 counties in Liberia. That's good news, Dr. Gbaba.
Yeah, thank you so much for the efforts. And actually, it's the people in Liberia, the voters, who really need this information. And we're hoping that they will use the information to the best of their advantage so that eventually democracy can be exercised in a peaceful manner. The word peaceful is very important when you hold elections because after the decision has been made, then we must, embrace the newly elected leaders so that we can all work together for the common good of the country. So the idea about peace is very important, at a time when people are making a major decision to decide who's going to lead them.
Good. And just before we begin our series, our topic for the day, we're going to go through a little recap of last week. But even before that, I want to bring to your attention that it was last week that members of the collaborating parties, they went to Nimba County for their primary. They had 2 candidates, I believe. Madam Edith Gonglo were representing the Liberty Party, and Mr. Ta Wongbe representing the ANC, that is the Alternative National Congress. According to the report we heard, there was some disorder, throwing of stones, and a complete rancor at the primary site. Talk to me about how civic education, or the lack thereof, or how that tie into our series or what we are doing right here on Focus on Liberia.
Well, from the onset when we started this series, the focus has always been on peace building, the maintenance of peace, making sure that the voters understand that the bigger picture is not just the candidate that they are supporting, but the bigger picture is the nation, the Republic of Liberia. The other main issue with respect to holding free and fair elections has to do with maintaining the peace, that after you've made your decision or after the people have voted, that eventually people will settle down and accept their defeat, those who were defeated and those who were victorious, that they wouldn't say, yes, now I've been elected, I will deal with you because you didn't vote for me. That's not the purpose for which, the democratic process has, arranged that people must exercise their franchise. In the exercise of your franchise, you must respect the choice of your opponent, and your opponent must also respect your choice. So we've already said several things about dissent. We've already said several things about rule of law. We talked about, constitutional authority. We talked about the Constitution, etc. So we have alternatives outside of violence that we can use to still resolve, our dissatisfaction or the conflict that may emerge from the results of an election.
Right. And according to the report, they did not even get to the point of voting when the disturbance started.
Yeah, because of lack of civic education. Because of lack of civic education. What we are doing is a major factor in the maintenance of a democratic process. But what we are doing it shouldn't just be us doing it. We should be collaborating with the government to do it. People who are in power must always understand that it is their responsibility to maintain law and order, not for them to be part of the chaos. Your responsibility as a leader, your responsibility as a leading party, your responsibility as leaders in the government is your responsibility to secure and protect lives and properties.
Yeah.
So when there are citizens like Dennis Jar, like CA, like Dr. Gbaba coming up on their own, not being paid, like the way you who are working in government are being paid to do what you're supposed to do that you're not doing, then it's just common sense and courtesy for instance, for the Minister of Information to pick up the phone and say, look, Dennis, your program is so nice. How can we help to even expand it so that everybody can understand? Oh, Dr. Gbaba, what you are doing, how can we work together to do it? What are some of the logistical problems you have? That's how people maintain law and order in a nation.
That is correct.
The government plus the people, especially productive citizens, must always work together. Don't take the productive citizens to be your enemies. When you do that, then it creates a problem.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing civic education, and this program will be relayed on Wesu Broadcasting Service, that's FM 88.9 in Wheeler, Mount Gibby County. That's where the station is, and it's carried live in 9 counties. Our guest is Dr. Joseph Gbaba, and we are discussing civic education. Dr. Gbaba, last week we covered a lot. So just for the next 2 to 3 minutes, I want you to go over what we covered last week. We started with the civic education as a whole and the Constitution. And in that, you said, you traced to the founding of Liberia. You discussed the purpose for the founding, and you made mention of 3 major aspects. That's political, religious, and the theoretical. So I want you to just briefly throw some light on that, and then we can go into today's topic, which had to do with security, law enforcement, appeal, and party.
Okay. Now, it's good that you talked about what happened in Nimba, okay, before we started. Because, again, we will repeat and say to the Liberian voters, if you don't listen to what we are saying, December will not be an easy month in Liberia, because you must listen to what we are saying so that you can be prepared, to resist some of the temptations that are going to happen. So to recap, we talk about the political aspect, okay? the political aspect, especially with respect to the founding of the Republic of Liberia, takes its root from the United States of America. Okay, it takes its root from the United States of America. And one of the key things that people need to understand is that those who came to establish the modern Republic of Liberia were once slaves. And as slaves, they underwent a lot of ill treatment. So that's part of their history and part of their experience. So these are people who underwent ill treatment under their white masters and all of that before they came to Liberia to, endeavor to interact with the indigenous people to establish a new order, a new political order.
A lot of them were free now. I think it was their parents who were the slave, but a good number of them
they were free. They were free people. I mean, the free people that came. Okay, yeah. I'm just giving you their background because the background is important for you to later on understand what from 1847 up to 1980, the things that happened. Those things that happened were repetitious. They were experiences that they had and they transferred, you see, to people, the indigenous people that they were dealing with. So it's important for you to know their background. Then you will understand why we had those things that happened in Liberia from 1847 all the way up to 1980 before the change of power, from the American Liberians to the indigenous people. So that's number one. But so coming from America, they came with a Western governmental system. Liberians need to understand that the indigenous people from the beginning of time, all the way up to 1847, they have always had a monarchical form of government, or they've always had a confederacy, like the people in the Southeast, the way how they did it, and the northern people to the Mandé speaking people, they had their own union as well to protect one another from, protect themselves against invaders and all of that. So they have monarchical form of government, then or council of elders. So that's why in our traditional system, the elders are very important. All of the different ethnic groups have an elder council that will help to make the decision, and or even if they have kings, then the elders will kind of serve as advisors to the kings and all of that. So the majority of the Liberian people don't know anything about holding elections. So this thing about election is something very new to the Liberian people. And most of the people, the indigenous people in the majority, never even had franchise. They never had the right to vote until later on in the 1900 plus or whatever it is, before they were given that right to vote. So they don't know about it. So what we are doing is we are rendering a great service to the people of Liberia, the majority of the people, for them to understand what to do, with respect to what's happening. Because the other thing is that when they start now, when they came, the noted goal of Liberia was, one, to establish a state built upon the structure and principles of the laws of nation. They wanted to be like the Western world, whatever laws they had. Now listen to that. They talk about establishing a nation, the structure, the principles of the laws of nation. So law, that thing, that law is important. And we'll talk about it later on, because if you don't obey the law, then things will not go right. So they wanted things to go right. So they said, well, we will follow the laws. We'll follow the laws that other nations have followed for them to be successful. We'll follow those laws so that we can be a successful state. The second thing is that they wanted to modernize the indigenous peoples of the region, including converting them to Christianity. That was their aim. Okay? And we'll come to that too, because in the process of trying to modernize the Liberian, the indigenous people, a lot of destruction took place. For them to become, if they were not Christians, then they were supposed to be pagans, they were supposed to be unsaved. Being quote unquote unsaved meant that you were ostracized from the system. So all those things there are very important with respect to what happened that led to all the things that happened. The concept that they came with to modernize the people, they wanted to Christianize them. And then too, they talk about natural laws and all of that. And then also the languages, the language that they spoke. In modernizing the people, they say, if you speak in Gbaba, I say, no, Dennis, that's uncivilized. You can't speak Gbaba, you must speak English.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't speak English, then you can't be part of this system. So that also created a lot of problems. Your father is a zoo. You guys inherited this mask that is thousands of years old. So you come, go to your village, you know, everybody, you know, got that idea about what this mask meant to the family, to the tribe, and all of that. Now I'm telling you, that's fetish. You must burn this thing here in order for you to be baptized, to be born again. You know, those kinds of things, those impositions, you know, we are now going through the consequences of those impositions and all of that. So that's one aspect of the thing. So the constitution that was established. Now, the constitution that was established was a copy of the Constitution of the United States of America. When you are establishing a body of laws that are going to govern our people, the laws must be culturally and historically relevant to the people that those laws are going to affect. So there were a lot of laws that were introduced in the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia, the first republic, that did not correspond.
Right, or resonate with them.
Exactly so. So that and then the thing about it is that the Constitution is something like the Bible for the Christians. The Constitution is analogous to the Bible.
Yeah.
The Constitution is to the nation as the Bible is to the Christian, or the Quran is to the Muslims.
Right.
You see, so what it means is that the Constitution, whatever is contained in that Constitution, you cannot just jump into it and say, oh, okay, I don't like page 25 or section 8 of the Constitution, I'm going to erase it. You cannot do that. So that's why in December of this year, we're going to be having a referendum. There's a procedure. You can't just go to the Constitution and touch it and take out the part that you don't like. It cannot happen. In order for that to happen, because the Constitution is supposed to guide everyone in the nation, you must go back to the voters and say, look, this thing we see that is not working for us, and we want to change it to do this and do that. But we need your advice. We need your support. So that's what the referendum is about. The government is asking the Liberian people that, look, there are certain parts of the Constitution we want to change. We want to change those parts, but we cannot do it on our own. We need your support.
Right.
And so also consequently, that's why it's important for us to let the Liberian people know that they want to change the Constitution that governs all of us. You got to be careful. You got to be careful, and you got to understand what you're going to be voting for. So that's very important. And this show provides a golden opportunity for the Liberian people. I don't know whether they got shows back home like this, where they are telling the Liberian people, look, the referendum thing is no joke. If we change whatever we change on it, you cannot go back to complain and all of that because it will not happen. People don't just have referendum every year.
Yeah.
You see? So with the constitution that coming there, that constitution was very important. Now let's go to other aspects that were introduced, like the religion. The religious aspect is very important because man, as a human being created by the Almighty, the people already had a religious system in place. You didn't have to go to a church to look at a statue and say the sign of the cross or say Hey Mary or this and that. That's not what our people did, the indigenous people did. And you talk about the majority of the people. We talk about the majority. So establishing a democratic society and imposing the will of the minority on the majority also has its adverse consequences that we're going through right now. Because the few who were quote unquote Christians told the majority who were not Christians that they were pagans. And because religion is inherently, a constituted aspect of man, when you denigrate the man's total belief and conviction that going to Mount Judah to see the oracle gave him that power, gave him that self-assurance, gave him everything that he needs so that he can be motivated to be who he is. If you tell him that, oh, this thing you've been doing is wrong, is not right, and this and that, he is completely off course. He doesn't even know what to do again. It's like, what? My forefathers been doing this thing a long time. Everything been working for me. So that, in a sense, had a negative psychological impact on the people because they have had this religion and they've practiced this religion. Some of the people in the Southeast, for instance, used to go on pilgrimage to Mount Judah, to the oracle, Aputu.
Yeah.
They used to travel there to go there. You see, they don't do that anymore because it's supposed to be a pagan thing. Or J.K. Anderson or whatever it is, according to Heroes and Heroines or Liberia, they mentioned that he went there to go see the place and do this and that. Those are beautiful traditions. Today, not too long ago, I was talking with someone from Sasta, and we're talking about Manson Klebe. Manson Klebe, a lot of Liberians don't even know about Manson Klebe. Manson Klebe is a historic site in Liberia, a site that can attract tourists from all around the world. And the story behind Manson Klebe, when they say Manson, the group people call Mary, the mother of Jesus, they call Manson. So this particular rock that's somewhere there in the middle of the ocean or whatever it is, it have a big footprint on it. And the interpretation of the local people in that area about the footprint is that Manson, Jesus's mother Mary, traveled through that land and in search of her son Jesus. And so that's what that the footprint is all about. And it's a sacred rock. But how many people know that? Because in the beginning of the establishment of Liberia, all those things were condemned. But other nations are using those things to make billions of dollars out of tourism and everything else, and also using those things to motivate the citizens to know who they are and to appreciate themselves. You see, so that spiritual aspect of it was disrupted. Theoretically, Liberia, the word Liberia, liberty, and so forth, theoretically, it's talking about liberation, talking about liberated people. Because that's why I started with the thing to tell you that those who came were once slaves, and then of course he said some of them were free and all of that. So it's all about liberation. Okay, that's the first thing. It's all about liberation. So when you talk about liberation, liberation means that not you alone are liberated, not you Dennis alone are liberated, not me alone am liberated, but every one of us is liberated. And when people are liberated, then you don't then I'm not supposed to tell you that what you're doing is negative. What I'm doing is positive. That's not liberation.
Okay.
You see, that's oppression.
Let's wrap that up so we can go into our today's topic.
Okay, so the theoretical aspect of Liberia, the founding of Liberia, has to do with Pan-Africanism. Now, what is Pan-Africanism? When especially when you said, there were some blacks who said they didn't want to stay in the United States, they wanted to go back, right? Okay. So those people were liberated in their minds, in their hearts. They wanted the black race to be liberated from the oppression and everything that they underwent. So therefore, even to the extent when in the Constitution they inserted the part that only people of Negro descent can become citizens of Liberia. That's how important the liberation aspect was for those who founded the Republic of Liberia. That's number one. Number two, Pan-Africanism also espouses the thought that you, Dennis, you are not inferior to any human being on earth. The person can be pink, green, yellow, or brown. You are not inferior to any human being. Pan-Africanism promotes equality, racial equality. Then also Pan-Africanism promotes cordiality amongst all blacks. All blacks. Because you're from Barbados doesn't mean that you're not my brother. Because you are black and you're from England doesn't mean that you're not my brother. It promotes, brotherhood among all blacks. And it promotes that the resources of Africa must be used for the common good of all Africans, of all people of color. Okay, and also it also promotes entrepreneurship, that we mustn't look up to another race to produce the food we eat. We must not look to another race to feed us, to provide medication for us, to go to doctors. And that's the opposite we're doing. People get sick in Liberia, they put them in plane and send them to America, to other places and all of that. So we're doing the opposite of the philosophical aspect for which the Republic of Liberia was founded, even to the extent now where we established a continental body that took root in Saniquili, Nimba County. A continental body that took root in Saniquili, Nimba County. And today you are telling me that we're supposed to be observer of what we established?
We didn't pay the money, so we were kicked out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you see what happens when you don't know your culture? Because if people who are leading, doing whatever they're doing, if they knew their culture, they will prioritize their membership so that you don't be an observer. Hello, are you guys there?
It's like you being an observer in your own house. Thank you, Dr. Gbaba. If you just joining us, this is our civic education series. We just recap from last week what we talked about. So today we're going to begin with security. And this show is carried live or relay on uh, the radio Besu, that's in Wheeler, Mount Gibby County, FM 88.9. Dr. Baba, let's talk about security and the rule and the respect for constituted authority. What's that?
Security. Okay. Security. Okay. Governments are established to protect lives and properties. You understand what I'm saying? You cannot protect lives and properties if you don't have a good security system. That's the first thing. So whether you are holding an election or whether you are not holding an election, 24/7, there must be an assurance that the lives of all Liberians throughout the length and breadth of the Republic of Liberia will be protected. What that means is that, and security is not cheap. It's not cheap. What that means is that the borders must be protected. Your cities must be protected. Your hospitals must be protected. Even your military barracks must be protected. Your offices must be protected. The classified information about the nation must be protected. Yeah. You see people don't work in a mansion and they know what the president eating, what he writing, what will he talk to, this and that. That's breach of security. People take it lightly and they think it's funny. But it's not funny because in the final analysis, it leads to chaos and disorder, dishonesty, and it jeopardizes the lives of everybody.
Right.
You see? So security is very important, overall.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to holding elections, because it's the responsibility of a ruling party, not ruling party, but the government. I would say a government, not just ruling party. Okay, it's the primary responsibility of the government to ensure that lives and properties are protected. So whether or not the person is part of the opposition or the part of your party and your party is ruling, you who are heading that government, it's your responsibility to make sure that even the opposition people, when they go around the country, that they are protected, and that the other people are going to see that those people are protected and that there's no chaos.
Right.
And you're not supposed to be the one who's supposed to be protecting people, to be the one to engineer, chaos in a place.
Right. And people can sleep at night without having to put 2-3 iron bars, because the rogue is going to come, the armed robbers are going to come, and they're going to be very vulnerable. Or sometimes the lack of security bring about vigilante justice.
Yes.
Or that because they feel that the government is not able to protect them.
Exactly. So that's important. Now, in the case of Liberia at this moment, on my show last night, I was talking about behavior modification and applied behavior analysis. In the case of Liberia, we are in a very serious condition when it comes to security. The security of the country is at risk. And the reason why it's at risk is because, we talk about the Constitution. The Constitution provides the situation for rule of law. People need to understand what rule of law is. It's law, but the laws are rules and regulations, right? But the same law got rules. And the rule of law says that any law that you make, you cannot break it. Whether you the king or I'm the peasant, I'm not supposed to break it, you the king, not supposed to break it. So rule of law means No one is above the law. In the Liberian situation, with respect to what took place, the security of the nation was breached when rebels came from Ivory Coast. They broke the security network and they did all the things that they did. Well, we had an opportunity to correct that. A breach of the Constitution and rule of law, you got to go to the Constitution. The Constitution clearly states that people who create insurrection, who violate the law, who kill people or do anything, they are not supposed to be in authority. The lives and properties of the people are not supposed to be entrusted in the hands of the people. Now you look at the situation in Liberia and see what's going on there. It's the complete opposite. So now how do you expect for security to be there? How do you expect for the place to be peaceful?
Right, because you already provided an incentive for people to break the law.
Exactly.
Dr. Gbaba, other ways we can open ways for our security to be vulnerable is when we don't provide the things we're supposed to provide. For example, if you don't feeding the people or food security, if you're not taking care of the people, their health care, so it means that we are very vulnerable because anyone can, like I was interviewing one person who was making rice farm in Liberia. He said for our military to import rice and eat, that's a breach of security because anyone can put anything in that food and kill all our military people.
Yeah, so not just the military people, the citizens.
Right, we become vulnerable if, for instance, you have our president or some key official of government going somewhere else for medical treatment. We saw that with President Tubman. He went to London Clinic, he didn't come back. Yeah.
And that's part of the security. You got a vice president that you're flying out of the country to another country, for treatment. Vice presidents. So what's wrong with you? And you don't have trust in your own medical system that you establish. That's insecurity.
Yeah.
You see, that's insecurity. So this is no play thing. And we are not saying these things because we hate somebody or whatever it is, but we're saying these things because it's in our best interest for us to do what we're supposed to do. It's insecurity for you to pay a medical doctor $500, and you're paying somebody who's in the legislature $15,000. The medical doctor. So the very fact that somebody who studied, who can save life, or scientists, you're paying the person less money, and the person who doesn't even know the difference between A and B, and that person is making $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 and all of that. That's insecurity. So the doctor, when you get sick, when you go there, the doctor can just look at you and say, well, okay, you can take terramycin when you not so even be taking terramycin.
Yeah. Dr. Gbaba, let's go to the respect for constituted authority.
The reason why we have so much chaos and disrespect in the Liberian society, again, I will go back to it to let you know that Liberians made the mistake by joining in the line to run behind Charles Taylor, to put him there to be president, or to put Ellen Johnson Sirleaf there, when these are the people that bought the guns and things to create all the trouble and all of that. So who do you have there in the security system? The same people that were in the rebel camps. Same people. So that's why when they get it, the citizens saw them holding guns and killing people. Now they're supposed to be in the police, or they're supposed to be in the army and all of that. When you get before the people just say, man, please, man. The other one I used to tabay people like this and that. The members of the security system or people in authority must be people who are reliable people who respect the law. Because when you respect the law and you live by the law, then you can execute the law, and people respect it and listen to you and pay attention to it. That's why the people, when the people talk, they don't want to listen. That's why all the disrespect is all about. because they've seen the people who are not supposed to be in those positions are in those positions.
But yet, Dr. Baba, we have to respect constitutional authority. Is that a justification not to respect constitutional authority?
No, to respect constitutional authority, that's a must.
Okay.
That's a must. But I'm saying why there's so much chaos and why there's so much resistance.
So in what ways can we respect constitutional authorities?
One way so we can respect constitutional authority is, first of all, that we must put people who respect the law in the right place. That's the first thing you do. You're not respecting the law. Then you put somebody that you want me to respect the person. You're not respecting the law. So the first thing to do is to respect the Constitution. What does the Constitution say? If the Constitution says that in order for Dennis to host the focus on Liberia, Dennis must be a master degree holder, then you got to go to the master degree holder. I already know, according to the Constitution, a master degree holder supposed to be the person doing focus on Africa. Then you can't go take high school drop or you go put in there. You think that their focus on Africa will have good reputation? It won't. So if you want to be, and it's the same thing. If I want to be respected, then I gotta respect you. You see? So that's what's happening. So the people that they put in position, you gotta know who you put in those kinds of sensitive security position, because the people are watching. The people are watching. So respecting constitutional authority is something that is both ways. It's both ways. But in order for that to happen, there's a system. A system must be put in place. That the selection of people who are supposed to be authority must be people who are law-abiding. Because once they are law-abiding, when they talk, people will listen. Okay.
And so because we have a situation where we have former people that broke the law.
Yes.
Now in authority.
Yes.
In that case, what do we do when they are in? That's the Constitution.
It's a response. The people have a right to demand the government to remove those people from there. Because
but why at the point they are there, what do? We don't respect them?
At the point where they're there, you want to respect them, because it's not everybody who is disrespectful. Because a person disrespected the Constitution or didn't follow the law doesn't mean that you should do the same. But it's important for the citizens to make it clear, to demand what they want.
Yeah.
To demand that, look, we've had enough of this. This is what we want. The citizens have a responsibility and a right to do that.
Okay. So now let's say there's a riot taking place and the police arrive. What do? Let's say you are driving and the police stop you because of XYZ reason. What do we do? So in those areas where we see people in authority giving us instructions, what are we supposed to do?
Okay, it depends. Number one, it depends on the situation. Okay, the reason why, for instance, like the government, the reason why security personnel have a special dress code is because that dress code, especially those ones that carry the seal of the country or whatever it is, the dress code tells us who this person is and what this person's responsibility is. So someone who is a soldier wearing a soldier clothes, his responsibility is different from someone who is wearing the police clothes and all of that. So listen to this now. The soldier must not come to perform the duty of a police. That's where sometimes the confusion can start from. It confuses people. Oh, you soldier now, so that military, situation we're in. I thought it's supposed to be civilian. So the uniform tells us who that person is. It's something like an immigration person. The immigration person going to go do police work. They say, brother, I thought you were supposed to be down there at the border there, you know, taking care of this and that. So what I'm trying to say is that each security agency has its function to perform. So in the case of a situation where any citizen has to come in contact with an authority, you know, it depends on who the authority is. If it's a situation where, like for instance, you're driving, you know, you're driving and you violate a traffic rule, you don't expect an immigration person to come and arrest you or to come bother you. You want to make sure it's the police person who is doing what he's supposed to do. So the response of the citizens will be based upon who's doing what at what time. What's the situation? So it's important for the government, for instance, to make a clear line of demarcation so that the people understand that things that police are supposed to handle, the police will handle it. Things that the soldiers are supposed to handle, the soldiers will handle it. Immigration people, they will handle it. The SSS, they got their own work to do and all of that. It's like in the morning, you wake up and all the SSS people all at your house. Is the president coming to come visit me or what? You know, so those things, and the presence of people, you know, certain people will kind of give the people an impression, because that's what we know. We know a police to be a police, we know a soldier to be a soldier, and all of that. So the response will be based on the situation, the circumstance. If it's a traffic thing and the police comes, you must respect the police.
Right.
You see?
Let's go into law enforcement, since you mentioned the police. Who are all the people involved in law enforcement? And what are they supposed to be doing? Just briefly.
Okay. Law enforcement. Okay. First of all, this brings us to where we need to understand that in a Republican form of government, we got 3 equal but separate branches. Okay. So when you talk about law enforcement, that's the executive branch.
Okay.
So people who are supposed to enforce the law in the land include the president himself. The president, he's the chief executive to execute the law. He must execute the law. That's the president. He's one of those. The justice minister, the Ministry of Justice. That, because that's the executive now. We're talking about executing the law. Yeah, so it's the executive. So the president, then the justice ministry, you know, the police, you got the immigration. There are so many aliens, undocumented aliens all over Liberia. Taking gold, diamond, and all those kinds of things. What's happening to that? Anything that falls within the execution of the law falls under the executive. So if those things are not done, then you know it's the executive that's not doing it. That's why it's not being enforced.
And what citizens supposed to do? You form your own vigilante group to enforce it, or what do you do as a citizen?
As citizens, you know, this is very important. If whoever is supposed to execute the law, if they are unable to, if they are incapacitated, that's the Constitution now, talking about incapacitation. Incapacitated, because that's a sign of incapacitation. You're supposed to do something, you're not doing it.
Yeah.
That's a sign of incapacitation. So in the case of incapacitation, if that branch of the government is not doing what it's supposed to do, it's the responsibility of the people to call upon their representatives in the legislature to initiate impeachment proceedings. That's number one. Number two, if it's just the justice minister or whatever is not doing his job or whatever it is, the people can petition the president. Say, Mr. President, we know that you got so much confidence in this person, but they're not doing what we're supposed to do. They can petition the president. But when overall the executive branch is not doing what it's supposed to do, that's why we have this check and balance system. And it's the responsibility of the citizens to call upon their legislators, to use the law, their powers to do that.
Yeah. And sadly, sometimes we are waiting around, that I don't know to what extent that the people understand that power, that this is what we can do. Because we see more of enthusiasm putting a lawmaker into power than calling the lawmaker to say, well, X, Y, Z, it's not happening, so this is what we need to happen. So I don't like the way people really get in the street and dance and do everything for a lawmaker to be voted into power. You don't see that same level of enthusiasm when we want them to get things done.
Yeah, now you see, this is why civic education is important, because the people don't know that it's their right. So they're scared. They put the fear of God in them. Oh, you won't talk the honorable? Nobody is honorable until the voters put you there and say you honorable. The same voters that say you honorable can say you dishonorable.
Yeah.
They can move you from there. The people need to know that. And the other thing that, as I was saying, with the introduction of the modern Western governmental system, is that those who established the republic did not explain to the people what democracy means. They didn't explain it to them. If the people knew ever since, they would have done the things they were supposed to do. They hid those things from the people. And they still have hidden them from the people. So what we are doing is that we are enlightening the Liberian people to understand that democracy means that the power is inherent within the people. They are the ones that got the power, not the people that they put there. And it also means majority. So the people, the ordinary people, are in the majority. So when initially the country was started, that's why they did not, the initial founders did not want to expand, the government system out there, and they did not want to tell the people that, look, this type of government that will form it is not a king or whatever it is, but this type of government, you are the ones who are important. You are the ones that can make the decision. If majority of you say that we shouldn't be there, then we'll not be there. But who's going to go tell the people that kind of thing so they can't go move them from there? So they hid that knowledge that the people needed to know that they were the ones that had the power. It was hidden for over a century.
And one thing too is politicians, and the name, they always want something for themselves. It's like politicians are waiting just to remove that executive that is not enforcing the law, to say, okay, instead of calling the people to demand those things, politicians are just waiting to be there the next time to exploit that same vulnerability of the people or the ignorance of not knowing civic education. So the cycle just repeat every election cycle.
Yes, it is. And then like what you said, if the Liberian people knew that they got the power to remove the people in the house, that they gave that TRC report to since 2009, and they sitting down on it, they would have moved them from there. Why are you paying somebody $30,000 a month or $15,000, whatever it is, US dollars, foreign exchange? And if the Liberian people knew that the people who are in the house are their servants instead of being their lords, they would have removed them ever since. But they don't know. You see, they don't know that they are the ones. How can you tell your servant, say, take this thing and please carry it over there, and the servant take the thing and put it in the trash? and you're paying the person all that money and you're starving.
Hmm.
That's the situation in Liberia.
Well, we want to open the phone lines now for people to call in. If you're watching, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing civic education. This is a collaboration between Decanty Artists Inc. and Focus on Liberia. Today will be our last edition of this series, so please make sure that you call in and contribute. And by the way, this show is being relayed in Besu Radio in Wiala, Mount Gibby County. The number to call is on the screen there. That's is right there on your screen and also pinned on Facebook. Please call that number and participate. Call the number, that's 605-313-6004. The code is 791403. So call that number and participate. We are discussing civic education, security, the respect for constituted authorities. We talk about law enforcement. And so, Dr. Gbaba, let's go to appeal or the right to appeal. When does appeal happen and who has that right?
Oh, everybody got it right. You know, even the person you're trying to sack, you know, can still appeal too. You know, everybody has a right to appeal. That's part of the judicial system. That's part of the legal system. That's part of democracy. You know, that's part of liberty. So everyone has a right to appeal, you know. So because you did something that someone didn't understand, and or because they have the power to dismiss you, you know, doesn't mean that that's the end of it. That's why we have an appeal system. So you know, you got a lower court, you know, then you got the what's that, circuit court, then you got
the appeal system.
Yeah. So, yeah, the appeal system. So what the Constitution does, you know, the Constitution. That's why I always talk about the Constitution. Because if you follow the Constitution, then you won't have any problem. The Constitution guides all of us. The Constitution doesn't want for any chaos to take place. It doesn't want any bloodshed, no violence, nothing. So because of that, the Constitution provides ways in which you got to continue to seek appeals. Okay, so for instance, you go to the magisterial court, and the magisterial judge says, "Oh, blah blah blah, you know, you are guilty." The Constitution provides it. Well, you know, this is not the end of it. If you want to pursue it, go to the circuit court. You know, you go to the circuit court. The circuit court say, "Well, I will maintain the decision of the lower court." The Constitution says, "Ja, never mind, Papa, no problem with that. You don't got to go force with anybody this time. You can still go to the Supreme Court." When you get to the Supreme Court now, if the Supreme Court says, "Ja, what the lower court say is what we say," then that's the end of it there. Okay? That's the end of it within that legal thing. Sometimes when the Supreme Court does that, because we have international humanitarian laws, and if the government or whoever it is had infringed upon those human rights or whatever it is, you have the right also to appeal, to make it known to the international human rights organizations, you know, like the United Nations. And you can see that happened, you know, in Liberia in the 20s. When Faulkner felt that, you know, he couldn't get his way, that nobody was going to listen to him in Liberia because he was, you know, contesting against a sitting president, he went to the League of Nations. And the League of Nations established, you know, a commission. And when they investigated and found out that most of the things that he said were true and this and that, they then, because this is where, when human rights are violated, this is where the international body is very important, because they can exert pressure on the government to do what it's supposed to do. So what happens? The decision that happens in a country, a sovereign state, must be resolved in that sovereign state. So they leave a nation, send the commission, they send the inquiry, the result of the inquiry, they send it to the legislature. It came right back to Liberia. We went to the legislature. The government still wanted to play Gbaba and all of that. The United States of America, now this is where international pressure can come in. The United States of America say, oh no, this cannot happen. You either cooperate or we will not cooperate with you. We'll break, diplomatic ties with you. So there also means if your rights, human rights are violated to that extent where even up to the court system, you cannot get any appeal, then definitely, you can bring that to the international community for redress as well.
Dr. Baba, we'll go to our next point, which is Partisans Dogma Manifesto. But before that, let's bring in our first caller. We have our first caller here. I know you love the callers. You love to interact. Caller, where are you calling from? We have your first caller on the line. Caller, you are live. Okay. While we wait for that caller to get ready, let's go to party. And this is not the party we have when we do barbecue. This is political party.
Yeah, political.
Hello, can you hear me?
All right. Mr. Eastman, you are live.
Hello. Oh, okay. Hey, Dr. Baba, thank you for coming on the show again. Once again, it's been a riveting conversation. And Dennis, one more, you have brought an opportunity for us to get exposed and learn. Here's my question. Okay, we've seen grassroots campaign in Liberia, or from time immemorial, from before 1988. We heard about the Moja, the PPP, and all of that. But while they were enlightening Liberians to some political disadvantage that was going on in the country, we have not really seen a campaign to inform Liberians where they can make good decisions, where they can know between right and wrong, what is legally and morally right. We have not seen that. We only have seen where they point a finger at somebody else. But we have not seen a campaign, like Dr. Baba is saying, to enrich the Liberians' awareness so that he knows a sneaky politician, so that he knows that somebody is taking advantage of him. But instead, they will only bring issues against someone, but only to gain favor, and then also, in turn, manipulate and capitalize on the ignorance of Liberian people. There has never been a campaign to really enrich in the Liberian mind. So I asked Dr. Baba, in that consideration, what does he think, or how will you ever bring about a movement to actually bring awareness and education to Liberian people? Because we do not see any grassroots or political movement doing it. They only see that they go there for political power and not actually to enriching the enlightenment of the Liberian people. That's my question.
Wow, that's a very rich question, or rich inquiry, and I appreciate that, my distinguished statesman, Eastman, for that. First of all, one of the reasons why this is so is because, hello, are we on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One of the reasons why this is so is, first of all, let's go to the educational system. The educational system of a nation provides the framework, the theoretical, practical, as well as socio-cultural framework within which people are molded or prepared to understand what the philosophy of the nation is. That's the first thing that needs to be put in place. So that curriculum it starts with what we're talking about, civic education in the classrooms. That's the first thing. It has to be in the classrooms. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, yes, there are a lot of grievous seekers who just only because of the little limited information or knowledge they know about Liberia, they use that against others just to gain favor. Whereas, if someone does have good intention for the country, if someone has good intention and for instance, they establish a political party, you don't just want to establish the political party to have partisans that will say, no, you want to establish a political party, first of all, based on your political dogma, based on your political philosophy. And what would that be? So say, for instance, with respect to what my brother Ismail asked, the question he asked, and the example that he gave. So, say for instance, I got a political party. If my first of all, I need to know what a philosophy is. If my political party is about uniting all Liberians, if that's the basic philosophy of that political party, then it would be the responsibility of that political party to talk about cultural diversity. That in your recruitment of members, you will make them to understand that this political party, our dogma here is for us to appreciate one another, for us to be united as a people. And in order to do that, we need to understand and appreciate cultural diversity. That's number one. So within the context of letting your recruits know that they're supposed to submit to cultural diversity, within that context, you will tell them that in order for you to better understand cultural diversity, you must understand, you must learn about the Congo people, you must learn about the Kru people, the Gbaba people, the Bassa people, the Va people, the Crown people, the Mana people, the Kio people, the Pele people, the Lama, everybody will be part of the training so that you know a little bit about each. Because you said that your party is about promoting cultural diversity and national unity. So you won't just say cultural diversity or verbally, but you will also provide the opportunity for them to learn about cultural diversity so that they will know. So that sometimes during your meetings, all of that, sometimes you will call someone from Lofa that will say, you say, how do you say good morning in Loma or in Kisi or in Bandi? How do you do this? You call somebody from River G. Say, how do you say good morning? Tattoo, this and that. You call a crew person. How do you say this and that? And then you tell your member, you say, also, we want to, at least if you can say morning in Pele to your Pele brother, say it so that they will know it. You got to practice the cultural diversity thing and all of that. That's what they're not even doing. What they're doing is that they're looking at the material gains. And you cannot look at the material gains to transform our people. The love for the people must be exhibited in the life that you live, and also that you must have a structured method through which to do that. So what has happened over time is that those young people, what you call it, progressives and all of that, who have come, they've come, first of all, it was very confusing. I was completely confused during the 70s with all these young people that came with Mao Zedong and Lenin and this one and that one, well, Gaddafi and this and that. Why are you going all the way to Gaddafi and this thing and this and that when you start from Joao Nemlende and Chief Buse and all those kinds of things? They brought in all these different, philosophies and stuff, that were not culturally relevant. So also to answer your question, in order for you to create a national awareness, that national awareness message must be culturally relevant. How do the Gbaba people see themselves in the cultural diversity program that you're talking about? How do the Kru people see themselves? How do the Congo, the American Liberian, the Creole people, what role do they have to play? And how do we appreciate the contribution that they're making? You see, so it takes a little bit of selflessness in order for you to be able to embrace, the diversity that we have in Liberia. And the diversity we have in Liberia is so enriching, and so glorifying that it's sad that we overlook it. But that's what makes Liberia a great nation. Unfortunately, because we're not utilizing our diversity to our advantage. That's why we're where we are. But Liberians are very gifted, and every ethnic group has a significant role to play in Liberia. Every ethnic group have a significant role to play in Liberia.
Let's go to political parties.
So political parties, people don't even understand the idea of political parties. So all the different political parties that are in existence, for instance, how many of them have you listened to that will provide their dogma?
Yeah.
And how many of them will even be able to read whatever dogma that they have established? Because first of all, we have a problem. The problem is that majority of the electorates are unable to read and write, speak, and understand the lingua franca of the country. You, this politician, talking about Mao Zedong and all of that, you talking all this big book and all of that, the crime man standing up there in the place there, in Tobelita, you speaking all the time on the radio, and he comes to his son, at least his son who goes to school in Israel, say, and you could die. That's the voter, the voter that you talking all your big book and all of that. This person that was supposed to vote for you is asking his son, my son, what is he saying? Because they don't understand the language. We have a linguistic problem in Liberia. The linguistic problem we have is that it's not even being taught. It's not even being taught. So it's a few people that understand. So the other thing to answer Eastman's question as well is the other thing is that it's the responsibility of political parties to establish workshops. How many workshops do these political parties have other than calling the young people together to say Zikwe all the time? You gotta have workshops. Or literacy workshops and all of that.
What's the purpose of a political party? And what role is supposed to play?
The political, you say political party, okay, like a party. A party in the sense of a political party. A party means people who have come together, okay, for a particular purpose. Okay, so if you are bringing people together for a particular purpose, which would be your dogma, then it has to be explained. Okay? To explain it, you must, in everything you do, you must educate people. You got to educate people. You can't just say, oh, my man can be Dennis can be part of my political party because we party, man, we should be on focus on Africa. I mean, on Liberia. No. I gotta send you information and give you time to read it. I say, oh, Dennis, yes, the information about what we want to do. If you got any idea, you can add it or subtract. Give me your suggestion. You got to give and take. You got to ask the different people you inviting for them to contribute towards the overall structure of what you want to establish, so that it's not only you, it's not only your idea, but it's everybody's idea. Because when you do it that way, then it will be more successful. So that's what a party is. So a political party is not where you just follow me because I'm sort of be the quote unquote stand-up bearer or whatever it is. But you come in because you are convinced.
Mm-hmm.
Establishing a political party also means that it speaks and it appeals to the conviction. We're talking about conviction, okay? But in order for that conviction to be realized and to be mature, there must be education provided, so that you really understand it in and out. Because sometimes it may be risky. Your life may be involved. Your life may be at stake. So you got to be fair to people when you're inviting them to be part of your political party. You got an underlying a motive of establishing a fascist party. But you're telling me say it's going to be democracy. So I'm here thinking democracy. You thinking fascism. And when we meet, we sort of be talking about democratic stuff. I'm sort of talk. I'm sort of be giving a chance to talk. You sort of talk, but we meet and then you alone just talking.
What Dr. Gbaba, what we've seen over the years is political parties are just simply the vehicle for presidential power. So sometimes we even find the candidates even before the political parties. Say candidate A, Dennis Giles, he has made some money now in America. He's going to Liberia. So already I declared my intention to run for the presidency, and now I'm looking for a political party. So it's like something is. Are you hearing me? Something
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Before the other, instead of political party being formed first, and we know the dogma, we know the platform, we know the ideology, the philosophy of that party. We have the candidate first, even before we find the political party. That has been my observation.
Yeah, but your observation is absolutely right. And so what happens in the end? Chaos, lack of success, failure. That's what happens in the end. Because everybody's mind is focused on the prize. It's focused on the price. I'm a millionaire, so therefore I come and I buy my way through and bulldoze my way, and so I get carried as the candidate for the party. But if you had a party in existence and you had grassroots people or regional people who helped to establish the party, and you're bringing in somebody because the person got the money to do so, then people are not going to be faithful to that person. They will be looking up just for the money.
Yeah.
And you cannot do the party thing, the political party thing I was talking about. Because when you say party, as I said, it's where people come together for a common purpose. And that common purpose must be clearly understood and practiced, put into practice. So that's why you have the situations you have. I know what's that UP, what's that Kessel's party, right?
Yeah.
Ellen was in Liberia Action Party. All of a sudden, she became the standard bearer for UP. You know, there were people in UP. I was saying, so what happened to the UP people? and then you see what happened in the end. In the end, you president, after you serve your term, your vice president served you for 12 years. Then you left your vice president in the UP and you went to another place to go get somebody for there to support the person. So you see what happens when you sell political positions in the parties and all of that. That's what happened to UP.
Dr. Gbaba, do you know the philosophy of any of these political parties? In 2010, I wrote an article that I posted in the on the show that what distinguishes Liberia political parties, just faces. So do you know, if you look at the parties in Liberia now, the political parties, for us, to teach our people, we must give examples.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, at your level, know your philosophy of the Unity Party as opposed to the Liberty Party or the Alternative National Congress or the UPP? Do you know?
No, I really don't know because, for me, for the most part of my life, I've been a very private person, I got this calling from the Lord to provide, to promote the history and culture of Liberia. So that has really been my focus. My focus has never, and you can see, you yourself can tell, I never affiliated with any political party.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason you don't know is because even without affiliating with the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, by now you know what they stand for.
Mm-hmm.
On top of your head, you can pick one or two issues that they care about.
Mm-hmm.
Do we see that with the Liberian political parties? And
They
why?
don't. Okay, it's so good you brought that up because the issue here is that the politics in Liberia is such a way that for instance, how you call it? The people don't even ask for a platform. They don't ask for a platform. The platform is for you to get a bag of rice. Look at that. So the platform, this is where you find, this is where you realize whether the people in that party really care about the people, about the voters, whose votes they are vying for. This is where you find that out. No platform. What are you going to do? I remember the last election or whatever it is, I kept asking people, I said, well, what are the platforms for these different, candidates and all of that? No platform, no debates, nothing, no presidential debates. The senators that are going to be vying for the different position, no debate, nothing arranged. The election commission, the program, there's nothing scheduled for nothing. The people you just hear just waiting all over the place.
Right, but these people are, so where do you think that problem is coming from? Again, can we trace that back to civic education? Because you can have the best of platform and the people are not voting based on that. What's the point of talking about platform or philosophy or ideology?
Yeah, again, one of the problems we have in Liberia is the illiteracy problem. Okay, illiteracy is the problem. There are so many things that happened in Liberia that need to be corrected, but unfortunately, to do that, you must have the right leadership to do that. You must have people who have the experience and the know-how to do it. What is happening is because of the illiteracy rate. And unfortunately, for the past 30 years, a whole generation was deprived of education. Where in the world do you see people, now you talk about politicians, now you talk about people who vying for position. Where do you see people who love the country, who want development in the country, buying guns and giving it to 10-year-old and 15-year-old to go and kill people? And when it did that, it has taken 31 years. The child who was 8 years old 31 years ago is 39 years old now. He got 2-3 children. If he was 8 years old, he was in the second grade, he got second grade education. And how many of those youthful people do we have in the country? Almost like 60%. So, and why did they do that? They did that because they want the majority of the people to continue to be ignorant. So that they can keep singing and dancing behind them, so that it doesn't matter whether they have a platform or not, for them to do whatever they want to do, and that's what's happening.
Few comments here. Aku Joseph Corman say, "You have made my day, sir. Unless we really understand what our political parties' ideology are and what they stand for, we will not get anywhere." Jimmy Isma said, "Our parties have yet to exhibit beliefs. Their sole purpose is to field candidate. A political party is supposed to be an organized group of people who have the same ideology or who otherwise have the same political positions and who field candidates for elections in an attempt to get them elected and thereby implement their agenda." But in our case, Jimmy is saying that's not the case.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right. All right, like for instance, you know, like when the ANC when they started initially, a group of young people started initially, right? So all we used to hear was Kwame Clement.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you know, before we say Jack Rabbit, they say Wale Bonny Cummings, Alexander Cummings. So there was a torpedo, political torpedo. What happened to Kwame Clement, nobody knows today. And this was a young man that we had, you know, supported when we were at the University of Liberia, that we knew where we grew up together and all of that, and that we could, you know, kind of nurture, etc., and all of that. But all of a sudden, he disappeared.
Yeah. According to the story, it may not be 100%. He got a job with, I think, one of the bodies out of US or UN that made it impossible or forbade him from going into politics. So if he wanted, so he had to choose. And there were rumors.
And then in that case, if you got to choose, then you got to be polite and sincere with those who supported you. They'll say, look, my people, because of so and so, they said that this is what happened, but left a lot of people in the cold.
So people come from the United States, that those of us, like in the case of Mr. Cummings, who had a deep pocket. So there were rumors that some money changed hands so that people that were in the hierarchy could give way to him. That is not substantiated, but that was the rumor surrounding the disappearance of people like Kwame and being replaced by Mr. Alexander Cummings. Again, it goes back to the party philosophy, the party dogma that we're talking about. And, these parties, they are just there as vehicles, so anyone can get in it.
Yeah, and it's something like a club. Or if I want to run to, I want to be a senator, why I got to go join this party? I got to go do this and go do that. And what the voters need to look at is that they need sometimes an individual doesn't have to be a member of a quote unquote political party before you can vote for the person. It depends on the contribution that the person is making in society. You see? And these are things that we need to explain to the voters so they understand that people must contribute. There must be a contribution that you make to society because, again, with respect to the philosophical aspect of forming a nation, there are responsibilities. The nation has a responsibility to protect you and protect your properties. You as a citizen also have a responsibility to contribute towards the empowering that government to give your contribution, whether it's financial, whether it's material, whether it's moral, that you got to do something as a contribution to your society, to your country, to the government. And what people don't understand, you know, because somebody wins an election and becomes president, then they say we will be that party. And they got these so-called, you know, political talks, party talks that want to talk to you anyway because they feel you're not supporting their party or you're not supporting their candidate. That is completely wrong. Yeah. Just how you chose to be a part of party A, I can choose to be a part of party B. And there's no reason for you to antagonize me because I'm exercising my franchise.
Yeah. That word again, franchise. But Dr. Gbaba, you also have to look at the conditions, the living condition. You say empty bed cannot stand, right? So people put other people under extreme economic conditions so that Any shiny object, you can run to it. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're not eating well, as they say in Liberia, the platform will eat.
Yeah, I tell you.
So what you're going to eat is what really to sustain you for that day is what you go after.
Exactly.
They will say dry dog sweet, but what will be eating until that time? So
Yeah.
you see that that catch. In that case, what do we do?
The issue here is that the people again have a right. They have a right to appeal. I mean, they have a right to appeal to lawmakers. Unfortunately, the lawmakers don't respect the people that voted them into power. So in that situation, they have a right now that December is coming. That's the only time. That's one of the opportunities. You see, that's one thing about democracy. People need to understand. Democracy, as well as the Constitution, will provide opportunities for you, and those opportunities seldom knock twice. Like holding election. December is coming. That's your time. You, the people, it's your time. Those people that you put there that never even went back to your village to see you again, that will be coming with their bags of rice and all of that. You can eat a bag of rice. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat a bag of rice, but make sure you vote for somebody that you trust, that will seek your interest, that will help to provide things that you need in your community, in your region. And the good thing about it, look at another thing that the Constitution does. The Constitution knows that people are very vicious, right? They know that if I let Dennis know that I'm not voting for him, and all of that, when Dennis gets there, he will revenge. So you know what they put there? They put a secret ballot.
Secret ballot.
Secret ballot. You gotta open your mouth. You gotta open your mouth to anybody. You can even eat a person a bag of rice. Then they say, okay, thank you very much. When the time comes, you go, you put your thing on the ballot, you put it in the box. That's it. Secret ballot. So you see that there are so many ways that you can gain what you want, as voters. That's one of the things. So voters, you understand and exercise that right, and you don't have to tell people who you're voting for, because the Liberian society is not advanced. Even here in the advanced society, people get angry with friends and relatives when they don't support the candidates that they are supporting. So what more about a country like Liberia, where the literacy rate is so very low? So, but you can make good use of that secret balloting to vote for whomever you want to vote without saying a word. When the results come out, you will know who the winner is. Now, whether the process of counting those votes, whether it would be sincere and free and fair and transparent, that's where the other issue lies. You see?
So there is a song. You don't have the Gbaba to defeat us. You don't have the Gbaba to defeat us. You are wasting your time. Why nobody singing songs for us too, Dr. Gbaba? They want to sing songs for politicians.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say so, though. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there who appreciate what we're doing. Right. And a lot of people are learning too, so it's nothing to take for granted. I've been doing this for over 46 years now. And even during the course of the war, when people were all around looking for crown people to kill crown people, I had my Mana and Gio, people who were defending me and protecting me because of the way how I lived with them. You see, so it's not like that. That's not how Liberians are. So we must work together and encourage one another to love one another, and to stand for truth and justice. If we all do that, instead of being segregative and all of that, it will work.
Yeah.
You see,
yeah.
it will work.
Well, Dr. Baba, thank you so much. I think we've come to the end of our broadcast tonight, but we can't leave you until you wrap everything up. Today is our last day for this series. It's been very, very much educative, informative, and rewarding. And we can't thank you enough for being here to provide the much needed enlightenment, education, and information that our people so desire. Sometimes we talk about the illiterate population, and say, well, maybe, and blame most of the problem on them. But if you look, it's mainly coming from the literate population. It's
Yes, yes,
actually
another
the
people, another people, because they're very selfish. Because I can understand English doesn't mean that the people in the village can understand English. So I must find somebody to interpret what I want to say to them as well. They're not doing that. A lot of them don't do it. They go there speaking all this high flowing English and stuff, and it's not going to help the people at all. But again, I want to say thank you so much for the opportunity for us to exchange ideas and to provide some kind of inspiration, for our people. My thing is that the whole process will be non-violent. There are things that we really, really didn't cover that we need to cover in time to come, which will be the different parts of the propositions that are going to take place in December. A lot of people just, up at that, oh, the person won't be senator. No, there's something bigger, bigger with respect to the midterm election that's going to take place in December, other than somebody running to become senator. You talk about changing certain parts of the Constitution, the term of office for the president, for the senators, or the time that the election should be held. All those things that are there towards citizenship. So those things are very important.
We're going to bring someone to explain that very soon. But there's a comment here that I want to read to you because we sometimes get this very often. Kenapo say, which type of contribution is Dr. Baba having reference to when he talked about we should look at the contribution people made in the society? I try to understand it better, but he said, when you say making contribution, what kind of contribution are you talking about?
Well, for instance, look what you and myself are doing, that contribution.
Okay.
That's number one. That's contribution. For the past, 1980 to 2020, how many years? 40 years?
40 years.
40 years. For the 40 years, I've been teaching through elementary, college level, thousands of people and all of that. That's contribution. For the past 46 years, I've been promoting the history and culture of Liberia on the stage, perform for presidents, vice presidents, African presidents here in the United States. You go on Facebook, all my work's there, all over the place. That's contribution.
Another question from Vavi Sanon. If you were advising President Weah, I know it was coming, what would be one thing that you would tell him to bring all Liberians together instead of labeling his opponent as enemies of the state?
Well, that's a good question. And, one thing I want Liberian people to understand, and it's good that Vavi asked that question. One thing that I wanted Liberian people to understand is that the ascension of Weah to the presidency can be looked at from two different perspectives. One, George Weah is a patriot. He did his best as a soccer star. He represented us internationally. I remember one time when Liberia even played Ghana, that young man Stormy was running. When Salisa didn't want to play, George played. He did all he could. He got that spirit, to do something for his country. He does. What happened when Salif dumped per vice president to support where and what took place for where to get there, irrespective, knowing the fact that he too has his own limitations. And I want Liberian people to understand that I feel that was intentionally done, knowing that the workload is so heavy for that young man, and that it will create the kind of situation he has created. And that lady, or Mrs. Salif, wanted it to happen like that for us to have confusion in the country. But I'm praying that the confusion will not happen, that will make the devil shame. We got to do everything we can. All those who are patriots, we got to do everything, knowing very well that the young man is limited. We got to do everything to help to keep the peace in our country and follow the Constitution until we can get somebody who can help us to go forward. That would be that's my advice to the Liberian people. We're not going to fall prey to another confusion and war in Liberia because somebody is setting us up because they don't want for us to take them to court. And that war crime court will come. One day.
We were talking about your advice to President Weah. It looked like you are putting all the blame on President Salif.
I'm saying that to make it clear to the Liberian people that it's a trap.
Who said it?
Ellie. Yes, it's a trap. It's a trap. That's what I'm saying. It's a trap. So what I want to tell Josh, I want to tell the president, is that we are here to support you because we want peace in the country. What you are not able to do, all you got to do, pick up the phone. Dr. Gbaba, so in the educational system, this and that, how can you help? When it comes to the cultural thing, how can decorative artists help to promote peace and reconciliation in the country? We're ready to do it. We got to do it because we don't want no more war in our country. So my advice to him is that he should pick up the phone and call. We are his citizens. That's all you got to do.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Gbaba, we can thank you enough for this time. Hopefully, we're going to get you back and continue on this. I think it's been a beautiful collaboration between Focus on Liberia and County Artists Incorporated to bring our civic education to our people. Tomorrow, and we want our back room to put the flyer on the screen. Tomorrow, we're going to be discussing rape in Liberia at 7 p.m. And we have Rachel Beseji Chapin, who's going to be discussing the primary and the secondary prevention of rape amongst children in Liberia. She wants to narrow this down to children. The incidents of rape, mitigating the incidents of rape amongst children, and she will be zeroing in on the primary and secondary prevention of rape in Liberia. You don't want to miss it. It's at 7 p.m. tomorrow, and you can read that on your screen. Well, we want to thank also our viewers tonight. Dr. Gbaba, let me give you the opportunity to just say 2 or 3 sentences to our people, and then we can close the broadcast.
Well, I want to wish everybody a wonderful December 8th, peaceful midterm election. And I pray that whatever the decisions will be, that we will peacefully resolve, the dissent or whatever will emerge so that we can move forward. And also from our end, from Decorative Artists Theater, right now I'm getting ready to prepare some radio drama series on voters' education so that hopefully they can be aired in Liberia, to make sure that violence, that we slow it down. We gotta stop that violence. Violence will not solve any problem. And so that's my wish. And I pray that everything will go and will be peaceful, in December.
Thank you, Dr. Gbaba. I want to thank our audience for watching. Always Keep it here at Focus on Liberia, where we endeavor to educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Before we leave you tonight, we're going to leave you with a song. We are all Liberians. Don't forget, COVID-19 is real. Observe all the protocols. Be safe. Good night. And from all of us here at Focus on Liberia, my name is Dennis Giles saying good night and God bless you. Bye-bye for now.
Oh, yeah.
Liberia people,
See you smiling. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's it.
DJ House of Pain. Yes, I like this one. Him alright is him